Cool. Hello, everyone. So today is the wonderful Stuart Walter, or should we say the legend himself. And this is part of kind of post-conference Q&As. It is open to everybody, of course. But usually when we have speakers on, it's quite structured and they present something. Whereas today it is more Q&As and open conversation, especially like if you came to the conference and you had any more questions. I know we went through the toilet theory, which is so cool, and it might have opened up questions. So before we do that, I'll get Stuart, for people that don't know you and people that are listening into the recording, I'll get you to introduce yourself and go into your kind of how you got to the sports and who you work with and all of that, carry on. And you can take over.
Right. Stop, big deep breath in and go. Hi. Okay. Yeah, my business is the Elite Mindset Institute. I've worked in any number of businesses working towards this one. I've changed the name a few times. The name I go under basically is the Athlete's Secret Weapon. I like it. It's got a lot of power, and that was a name given to me by one of my athletes who was a 2012 Olympian, Olympic silver medal diver. You know, the big platform dives, 10 meter. Yeah, so a young girl, only just turned 15 at the time, got over there, smashed the Olympic silver medal. And yeah, even the commentators are going, you are so calm, you're so relaxed, you're in the zone. It's like the biggest stage of the world. But it's like as soon as you took that step to go up to the platform, you just kind of changed. What's your secret? And in front of millions of people, she said, I'm not telling anyone about the secret weapon. I went, bitch. Because there was some good marketing there, and all of a sudden she's going, no, I'm not going to tell anyone about it. Because when you think about that, if you found the edge in your sport, would you be telling everyone about it? You probably find the answer is no. And this is what I find the hardest part within my niche market within business, is the fact that hypnosis is surrounded by skepticism, make people do stupid things. And then when you do get good results, they're not going to refer you. So it's a really interesting dynamic and an interesting way to actually sell your services and sell your products. Like, you're not going to find thousands of Google reviews on my website because people just don't want to be connected with me. So there is a bit of a stigmatism about, one, hypnosis, and two, working with mindset and working with people, that you only work with people and deal with things if you've got an issue in the brain. But we know it's all untrue. So much so that if you look at my, I guess, the results over 18 years now, 19 years as of the 9th of June, it'll be 19 years, 48 world and Olympic champions. So they're the people I'm working with. So you name any sports, I've pretty much had people there at the top, one or two around the world in most sports. So I know what it takes to get these athletes to the top, and I know what it's like when they crash, because I did exactly the same. Okay, my sport was martial arts. I was a Taekwondo black belt, and I've just got it sitting up there as a reminder that nothing can hit me, nothing can hurt me. And if you've got something in business like that, highly recommend it. Okay, because I'll just grab it. Oh, because it's one of those things that when you think about it and go, right, so here we are sitting in business, what can really hurt me? Okay, so you have a bad day, so what? And I just think, right, there's 17 years of training in judo, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, aikido, hapkido, all these martial arts. And you just think, I've been hit, beaten up, attacked, choosing to stand in front of someone who's trained to kill me. Yet I've got to be in the right headspace. So what I do is a constant reminder of, that's basically as long as my business has been. So I have taken a lot from my sport and my results and brought that back into business. And yeah, Ali and Justine have been through my training, still going through the training, would understand exactly that, because nothing's going to faze me. Okay, if I choose to step on to a square mat, the 6 meter by 6 meter, I'm choosing to step on in front of someone who's trained to kill me. So I was good at my sport, but I wasn't in the right headspace. Fortunately for me, as everyone does, and everyone turns to their mothers, my mum was a naturopath and hypnotherapist. How awesome was that? So mum had been practicing 20 plus years. So she was great with weight loss, anxiety. She really got into there with people as far as, I guess, the eating and changing habits and behaviors and beliefs. When I was talking to her one day about one of my, well, I think it was one of my black belt gradings, I said, look, I've got to go through this, but I'm not in the right headspace. I'm traveling 2 weeks every month for work. So my training is inconsistent. So my sport's going to be inconsistent. I was average. So you know what it's like. You sit there for 90 minutes and go blah, 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 blah with your mother, and you're kind of sitting there like this going, yeah, how's this really going to work? Seriously. How's it going to work? Next day I went to training, 10 foot tall, bulletproof. My whole training, my focus, everything changed instantly. Even my instructor was going, what are you on? It was like, this is awesome. I could read my opponent's mind. I knew what they were going to do. I wasn't questioning myself. I wasn't judging myself. I wasn't scared. I wasn't fearful. I was in the right headspace. So what happened for me, I was at the average level. Then I ended up going through to regionals, states, nationals, and doing international events. And I was in the Olympic training squad for the Sydney Olympics in 2000. So I knew what it took to get to the top, and I knew the difference because my skill set didn't change. My skill set did not change overnight. This is what changed. And when I realized that the power of this, even with a hypnotherapist who my mum, I think probably the most sport she's ever done is watch tennis. That's about it. So she didn't know how to use hypnosis resources, hypnosis tools or processes or NLP because that hadn't been created by then. She reckons she created after she learned all about Bando and Grinder. She goes, I've been doing that stuff for years, but it just didn't have a separate label on it. So when I started doing work with her, she started understanding it, but she didn't have a sports background. So I was giving her all the resources, all the wording, everything I needed. And she was just writing it down on a bit of paper, as we all do. And that just forms a script. Okay, so I don't work on script hypnosis. I haven't been a huge fan of that since day one because there's no better script than the person that's in front of you. The way they look, the way they respond, what their sport is, where they are, what they want to achieve, what are they doing? So what I found is, and I share it with every presentation, is typical hypnosis programs and processes are incredibly powerful. We know that. We know they're incredibly powerful. But most of them are about going back to root cause and shifting and changing attitudes and behaviors based on past experiences to help you now to then move into the future. So the model that I use is basically deconstructing, reconstructing, evolving, fine-tuning each and every process to suit the future version. So I'm basically creating the future version of these new athletes and then reverse engineering back to this. Okay, so athletes, they come to you, athletes, peak performers in business, in life, the arts, whatever it is. The elites do something different. They don't care about the past. As much as we know that that is a massive shift towards who they are and what needs to shift to be able to move them this way towards the future. Elite people don't want to go back in the past. They don't want to tell me about your parents and how does that make you feel and what's your favorite color and were you abused and who bullied you as a 5-year-old. They don't care. They just go, right, this is who I am. So the way I work with athletes is very direct, which is right, bang, this is who you are. I don't care about the past. This is who you are. That's where you want to go. What do we need to change now in you to make that possible? So it is quite direct, but you think about if you're passionate about sports, if you've been around sports, if you know coaches are very much do this, do that at that pace, do this repetition, bang, let me know when it's done. So athletes respond really well to a direct approach. Typical hypnosis processes, like I said, incredibly powerful, but they're very suggestive. They're very supportive. They're almost guiding and nurturing rather than, I mean, the girls know, I'm quite ruthless with a lot of my clients because that's what they need and that's what they want. And that's going to get them the results. Okay, so working that way it's different. It challenges you because when you're face to face with someone, yeah, you've got to go, bang, this is what's going on. shut up, shut your eyes. This is where we're going. How is this behavior helping you move forward? If it's not, bang, cut it, let's go. So my first consultation with people is very much, it's all about educating them. It's all about educating them, because most athletes will go, okay, I've been to see a sports psych. I've been to see a sports psychologist. But what do psychologists do? Anyone here a psychologist? Counselor, mindfulness. Okay, what's the typical approach? I'll get you to jump in there, Leanne. What's the typical approach for counselling people when you're just talking to them as a talk therapy?
I'm a little bit different in that I'm a holistic counsellor, so I employ different methods.
Mm.
Yeah, the very first session, always just let them talk.
Yeah.
And then I structure some things after that from what I've heard and noted down. But I might give them a little thing, like a journal or, to write down things at the end of the day for a week or something, that sort of thing. Yeah,
for sure. But the typical of sports psychologists, thanks, Dan, that was good. Typical of sports psychologists, they like to sit and talk about issues. Okay? If you've got a problem and you talk about it, guess what? The more you talk about it, the bigger it gets. Okay? So if we start talking about a solution straight away, instantly you've shifted them away from everything they've ever done as far as psychology, wellness, counselling, mindfulness. Because we're going, right, where do you want to be in 3 years' time? When's the next Olympics? 2028. Are you going to be competing? Yes. What level are you going to be at? What do you need to change? How do you need to be? How do you need to think differently, act differently, behave differently to achieve that? Then all of a sudden they're getting coached like their coach would do. It's not about this, oh, right, how does it make you feel? Okay, it's good to get nervous. I'm sorry, but I don't think I've seen any athlete perform well when they're nervous. Okay? If anyone's ever been an athlete, I know Ali's been a navigator in rally cars. Navigator, is that the... Yeah, so you know what it's like. So what I find is, to set me apart from anything that anyone's ever done before, I want to make a bit of a statement, which is, okay, athlete, where do you want to be in 3 years' time? The blank looks you get on the face from some of the top 5% of athletes in the world go, I don't know. Because they don't know what they want, because they're too busy focused. Like most coaches, they just turn up to training and the coach goes, do this, 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 and this. There's no future plan. They just respond to what the coach thinks that they need based on what they think they want to achieve, based on what they think their capabilities are. So what I do is I actually take the athlete and go, right, let's do this, and then start coordinating with the coach and with the strength and conditioning coach and with the physio and with the nutritionist to go, right, bang, this is where they want to go. Did you know that? No. It's amazing how many coaches don't know what their athletes actually want to achieve or why they want to achieve it. And by simply coming in and go, right, that's where we're going, that's what we're going to do, that's how it's going to be. And then you take that and you hold it and you just work with them on the way through that. So typically my first consultation is very much an awareness, which is where they are, where they want to go. And then I'll start hitting them between the eyes and start setting what I think is probably the most powerful process, which is setting a peak performance state for them. Because when I set a peak performance state, because every athlete, okay, let's talk about a golfer. Okay, so if you've got a golfer, typical of a round of golf is 72 shots. Okay, some golfers are doing 3 under, 4 under, 5 under par. Some are doing 2 or 3 over. But in between one round, where they're playing 4 rounds in a tournament, how can they be 5 under one day, 5 over the next day, 5 under the next day, 2 over the following day? So all of a sudden, there's a variation of 5 under, 5 over. There's the 10-shot variation. When you think about that, if you think about the brain, that's 7%. So if we can start minimizing this, it's massive. Typical, if I do have a golfer, I've got a lot of professional golfers. Okay, what are your 4 best scores? I might be 5 under, 8 under, 6 under, 7 under. Great, add them all together and all of a sudden, I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just go 30 under. That's their 4 best games. 4 best rounds, added up, 30 under. Now, 30 under is going to win any tournament anywhere in the world, anytime. That's what I say to these golfers. We don't have to make you better. We just got to make you more consistent. And what is it that we're doing with the brain is we're working with this to be more consistent, more relaxed. When you're relaxed, guess what? Relaxed muscles are fast muscle. Relaxed muscles are strong muscle. So therefore, you want to be fast and strong, which is what every athlete wants. What do you have to do? Relax. When you teach them how to relax, all of a sudden they step into the belief, they step into the trust. Then they just go and execute the race plan or the strategy. They don't overthink, they don't overanalyze, and they go and perform really well. That freaks the crap out of them after the first session, because they suddenly realize the potential has just gone up. That's when you'll start seeing some of the self-sabotaging behaviors pop up the following week. So that's where I come back and then start doing more the traditional processes of managing nerves and doubts and fears, setting other things, looking at what limitations in their past would have basically slowed them down. But if I don't get a significant positive benefit in that first session, they don't come back. If you do, they'll never leave you. Right? So think about that for the lifetime of your clients. Because how many people do smokers? All of a sudden you do one session for a smoker, you may never see them again. Right? Weight loss, you might do 1 or 2 or 3 sessions, and you might do one every 2 months, every 3 months until they get to the goal weight. With athletes, you get them the results, you give them more and more and more tools, they'll keep coming back. As much as you give them, they will give you. So you can have lifetime clients. I've got clients that have been around 12, 14 years. And they'll just phone up and go, hey, Stu, need a top up. No problem at all. Come back in. Okay? So it's very powerful, and it's a beautiful niche market, because if you're passionate about sports, you're getting paid to work with the best athletes in the world, and they keep coming back. Okay? Like I said, there's my phone. There's basically, what do you got, 48 world Olympic champions just sitting on there. I can just pick up the phone at any time. Okay. I didn't tell the girls this morning. I got a text message from one of my Olympic gold medalists and going, so I'm writing a book and I can't not talk about you. You've got a whole chapter. Let's go. Okay. That's coming out in September. So this is what we're doing. We're getting out there. We're expanding, which is why, and this athlete was probably the instigator about creating my training and mentoring program. Because I just went, if this is where she was, this is where she's got to Olympic gold medal, this is the work that I had to do with her to get to that point, these incredible resources and tools, if I just decide, hey, look, I've had enough of this, all these processes are going to disappear. These athletes that don't have a decent system, because guess what, Australian Institute of Sport, all the academies of sport institutes, they are crap. Over here in Australia, they are breaking athletes. It's push, 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 push. You crash. That's not good enough. Next, and we'll do the same again. Okay, so it's tough, because you see these incredible people crashing. You can't do much about it because I've only got so many hours in my day. So this is why I've been opening up. And it was that athlete that I've just gone, I've got a duty of care to as many people as I can, athlete-wise, to be able to reach out and go, hey, look, we've got the resources and tools. But I can't get to everyone, which is why I've now opened it up to only 55 practitioners worldwide that are going to be selected, that I'm going to work with, train, and mentor. So we've got this incredible collaboration that eventually, if I step out of the business or I choose not to, then someone can take over. Right? Someone become the lead within it, or someone's got greater opportunities there. Because these processes are incredibly powerful, and to be honest, I've kept them very secretive for 18 years. Okay? So that's basically a bit of a rundown on that. I did see a question come in, like you say, talent only goes so far, then it becomes all in the mind. Absolutely. No, that was just from Justine. I'll give you an understanding of that. One of the ladies, Dr. Sue Williams, very high up in equestrian. She's doing a lot of work along the spiritual and energetic part of equestrian and riding, and working with the horses as well. She goes, oh, my clients are normally sort of the 40 to 60-year-old females that have fallen off a horse. They've lost their confidence. They want to get back on the horse. And she came in to do the training course, and all of a sudden she's now gone, well, that was my business. She's now gone, bang, I've now got a peak performance aspect of my business. So by doing that, and she said, okay, so I'll start with these riders, and as they get better, it'll take me up here. I'll go to all the pony clubs, and as they get better, they'll take my name up with them. And I went, that is not going to work. Okay? That will not work, and I can guarantee it because I did exactly the same thing. Okay? Reason being, the juniors coming through, any juniors, any young kids coming through, okay? First thing they're doing is learning what? Techniques, tactic, rules, fitness. They're learning the game. It's not until they get to a certain level that they then start going, well, I'm playing well, but now my brain's starting to get in the way. That level is about 80% of their potential. Okay? So when they start hitting about 80% of the potential, that's when they'll start having pushbacks. That's when they start having emotional breakdowns or understanding the human mind a bit more. They start going through different levels of emotions. You start going through puberty and all that sort of stuff with girls. Guys start finding women and getting cars, and then all of a sudden you've got this big chemical cocktail that goes on in an athlete. They just shake and stir and they just turn into something that's hardly recognizable. So what you'll find is athletes, if you're looking at going in towards the sports side of things, you're not going to get athletes that are under a decent level. So if you're looking at state, regional, national level, that's where you're going to find them. You're not going to find them as weekend warriors. You're not going to find them doing that unless they've got the potential to go up to a really high level and elite level in sport. It's not until they start experiencing pushbacks and issues with the mind, when they start hitting potential, they start getting injured, they start going through different things, they start changing coaches, and then they start having these emotional games between either teammates if they're in a team, or that whole who am I to be doing this? The imposter syndrome that starts happening. When they go through growth spurts, when they go through judgment, when they have a bad result, and then they start churning that through their head. That's when you're going to find the athletes. So as I said to Sue, and even with Ali, it's the same sort of thing. If anyone's seen that movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith? Yep. So it's a really good movie. Before Will Smith was an idiot. The movie was so powerful because he said, all right, here's a list of like 5,000 contacts. And he said, I'll start in the bottom and start working up. And every time he did that, reject, 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 he was selling insurance or selling something. And it was just constant rejection, rejection, rejection. He's gone, what am I doing this for? So we then started at the top and started working down. Okay. So my aim is generally to aim at number 2 in the world. Okay. Because number 1 in the world is probably doing something different. Number 1 can't get any better. They're busy trying to hold on to their position. So they've got a lot of fears and doubts. Number 2 is that close to doing it. They will do anything to be the number 1. So you start working from the number 2 down the list, you're set. Okay? So yes, the mind will always take over. Now, I'll give you all got pen and paper here. Here's an equation, which is, I'm giving away one of my secrets. Okay. This equation for any peak performer, whether it's business, life, sport, you name it. Existing results equal potential minus fear. Okay, anyone's existing results equal their potential, which is how good they can be, minus their fears. So you think about that with any, let's say for a swimmer who might be doing a 1 minute, 100-meter swim. Okay? Their potential is 1 minute. That's the personal best. So why is it they're doing 102, 103 sometimes? Why are they blowing out? Why is some days they're doing that and some days 105? Then, if they're feeling really good, they might do a new PB. If they've done a PB and all of a sudden they come and see me and go, I just can't do it because of, and I've got one of my swimmers that went to, what was the last Olympics? Paris. And he said, it's just been so long since I've done a personal best in 400 individual medley. I went, okay, when was it? It was 18 months ago since he did his last personal best. 2,850 hours of training. And he's gone slower. work that out as far as a swimming coach who's going, oh, look, I'm a swim coach. That's great. Okay. What's the result with this kid? Oh, he's done 2,850 hours of training and gone slower. Work that one out. Where do you think the solution is? Training harder? That's not working, because training harder actually pushed him harder, and he actually had, it was chronic fatigue, basically. The body was systematically shutting down because he was being pushed. 4 hours a day, 6 days a week in the pool, then gym sessions. And he was a full-time student. He was just absolutely burning out. Okay, and this is unfortunately what I have to deal with, is working with coaches that just keep pushing. Parents that push. Athletes that feel guilty that they're not pushing harder because I've got to train harder. And I know through my sport within my martial arts, I went from average to elite, and that was a difference. My skill level didn't change like the golfers. Your skill level doesn't change overnight. Yeah, your clothes might. The fashion in golf, that changes. So this is what it's all about. So it's actually changing a lot of beliefs and really coming in with a confident level to attack and really get these athletes to see what's going on inside of them. So there is a lot of education at every one of my sessions, but it's also understanding the typical hypnosis processes. Okay, and Leanne is going to come on board and do the training, but it's also after a conversation with Leanne, it was like, we need some more hypnosis training in there, because when you understand the hypnosis processes, then we can kind of deconstruct them, reconstruct them in a way that's going to suit the peak performers. Can I give you just an example of the parts separation? Okay, who's heard of parts integration? Okay, Justine, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown based on your training about parts integration? What does it actually do?
Well, so basically you have two parts, usually conflicting, and the goal is to bring those parts together, kind of get some kind of consensus or whatever the word is, and they come together, which resolves the conflict and any feelings go away, and then the people can move forward. So it's about integrating.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? So has anyone done parts integration with a client, and you go, oh, part of me doesn't want to, a part of me does, you bring it all together, it's like, bang, total transformation. So I looked at that and went, okay, as an athlete, Justine and Ali, you know me now, Leanne, you're learning, but you probably wouldn't expect me to walk up to someone and beat the crap out of them. But that was who I needed to be. So I realized that the person that I wasn't competing effectively on the mat. So what I did, instead of a parts integration, I did a parts separation. I took this part of me out as the athlete. This part was the person. Okay. The reason I went to martial arts initially was basically self-protection. So what I did is I needed to force myself away from the person I normally was, because I was good at my sport. I was fast, strong, flexible, but I didn't have the killer instinct. So I had to create it. So think about someone who's good at sport. Got that? And then they stand in front of someone who's trained to kill them, because it does hurt when you get kicked or punched. Even though we're kind of fully protected, if you ever see any martial arts, you see the Taekwondo on TV, you just go, oh, yeah, you probably don't think that, oh, that'd be me, because it was, for me, it was fun. So imagine that person who is supportive and nurturing and quite spiritual, and you girls know me, I'm always there to have fun and making life lighthearted of everything, to then shift. So what I realized is I was getting beaten very easily because I wasn't the right mindset. So I went, okay, who do I need to be? I need to have the killer instinct. So what I did was I went, all right, what's important? Got a photo of my family, laminated it, it was about that size, laminated it, sewed it in the back of my jacket, and went, right, that person is going to kill my family. And I'm the only person in between. How different is that now when you think about it? Okay, instantly I'm in a different state totally. What I then did is, it's also amazing that we had three 3-minute rounds. I'm not sure if you know that. 3-3-minute rounds, not like boxing where there's 18 rounds. So 3-3-minute rounds. It's, oh, sorry, Stephanie, you're getting very sleepy. Your eyes are closing. Yeah, okay. So 3-3-minute rounds. The thing is, if someone was attacking my family, I wouldn't give them 9 minutes, correct? So guess what? Most athletes that are then stepping onto the mat for a competition, they're going, oh, I've got to manage my energy for 9 minutes. I'm in there, 30 seconds, in, out, bang, 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 bang. They're gone. Knockout, and I'm walked off. Because knockout, you don't need to do the full 9 minutes. I'm not going to give someone 9 minutes, so you can instantly see the difference in being in the right state to be this person. So the separation of me went, right, okay, bang, that's me, the athlete. When I step on the mat, this is who I become. So this person to me is kind of sitting up in the stadium. It's not even me fighting. It was kind of surreal. It was like almost like an out-of-body experience. So while I'm fighting, it's like I didn't think about anything. I just responded. I was watching what they were doing, counteracting, reading their mind, because I was such an internal state. It was just 100% trust, belief, reaction, and response. All you got to see is a trigger on the right shoulder. You know, okay, it's going to be a right punch. Simple. It's already blocked and counterpunched before it's even on its way. Okay? That way, I'm sitting up in the stadium. My instructor's going, oh, you must be up shortly. I went, no, bing, done, finished. You're out. Gone. Okay? When you see boxers, you know, in between rounds, they pull out a little seat and you're sitting there and they sponge you down and everything's all good and have a good talking to. I couldn't do that because I didn't like being on the mat. So if I did have to go through to the second round, the instructor actually put the chair on the outside of it. I sat there because I didn't like who I had to be and who I was in the ring. So it's very interesting working with athletes because once you understand the person, you realize that who they need to be as far as an athlete is totally different. So we're separating them, and whatever benefits that these athletes will find as far as confidence and skill and success in life, when they come back out, I then join that, which then lifts the confidence of the actual person as well. So there's constantly evolving and growing towards that, I guess, that central person long term. So how's that? Do you want to chuck some more questions at me? Justine and Ali, you know me quite well. Okay, Tegan.
Hi, Stuart. Are you also doing a lot of focusing on the end result work with them?
Yeah, that's my main work, is the fact that I don't generally go back in the past because, okay, Ali's into motor racing. Okay, does everyone drive here? Did you drive to work or from work, or drive? Do you reverse everywhere? You don't, do you? Okay, because this is what I find, Tegan, is most people, athletes, they're so focused on where they've been, but they don't have any idea where they're going. What I like to do is most of them are so caught up in their own life and experiences that that's their excuses. They're using all these experiences and fears and doubts and uncertainties from the past. Generally, the work that I do is, right, okay, that's where we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we spin the car around and go, okay, now we're going in fast forward. We're going to look at where we're going. If you've got mirrors there, you can use them to reflect where you've been. Because how many people, when you turn backwards, you then reconnect to the existing experiences, re-experience what it might be, rather than just simply going, right, that's where I'm going, and now I'll reflect on what's happened behind me.
Sorry, do you get them to see themselves winning and being in the experience of, say, being in the 50-meter swim and they reach the podium before everybody else, the end of the pool, and do you do a lot of that work with them?
Yeah, that's the bulk of the work, team. That first session I do, which is the peak performance state, when we set the peak performance state, the last thing I do is actually future pacing them. So I get them into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'll get them. Oh, where is it? Okay. I'll get them behind the podium. Okay? As an example, the gold medalist that I had in Paris, I went, okay, so we're now, this is the biggest decision you'll ever make in your life. She goes, well, what's that? Like, it's going to be big. I went, right, now, close your eyes for a moment and go, okay, so when you step on the podium, you're going to use your right leg, your left leg, or you're going to jump up on the podium. She goes, I'm going to be so excited, I'm going to jump up on the podium and jump 3 times, bang. So that's what we did. We got her doing that. So, and you could see, so, you know, it's like with the visualization process with the body, the mind's just got to think of something and the body responds. So she's got her eyes closed and you could just see, bang. And you see her legs and it's like, okay, well, she jumped 3 times. She came back out and went, right, I was on the podium. Okay, and I'll use one of my medals. Medal was placed around my neck, hopped up in the podium, jumped 3 times, lifted my arms up. Wow, how incredibly powerful is that? Okay, and here's me telling all the secrets. Okay, this is one of the most powerful things you can use as an athlete or use on your athletes. Not the Australian national anthem, but probably the Kiwi one. We can use that one because why not? So I use that and I get them up on the podium. I get them experiencing it. I get them with the weight around the neck. I get them to see the flag coming up, the music. Once that thing hits, oof, up comes the emotions. So what we're doing is we're basically anchoring an incredible blend of 5 to 6 traits and experiences that all form to this one central peak performance state. And everything that we do, Tegan, is all about, right, where are you going to be in 3.5 years? So it's the race in 3.5 years at LA Olympics. That's the one we're focused on. So it's irrelevant what happens this weekend. So we take all the emotional pressure off this one because that's where we're going. Okay? So everything is always about the future. Okay, who's the ideal version of the person in the future, and then reverse engineer back to what you need to do today to get to that point. The girls know me quite well, Ali and Justine. How much time do I spend going backwards with clients? And I think that's your answer.
You won't let us go backwards either, Stuart.
Because you've been there.
Okay. I think one of the coolest things too, Tegan, it's not just about visualization, it's about imagination as well, and feeling it as well as visualizing it. And I think that's more the secret.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of that work in my coaching work with whoever I work with, and it's so powerful.
It is, because you'll also find, as I have taken, that the bulk of the issues that people have, it's based on the past. So what happens when you focus them on the future, they're now living the solution of how different it feels. So they actually generally dissolve all past fears based on everything behind them. Because again, as I was saying, the more you look at it, the bigger it gets. You're going to focus on the fears, the doubts, the uncertainties, that's going to become bigger. Turn around and go, right, let's focus on this person. All of a sudden it becomes easier. There's less restriction, and it's more, okay, well, you've lived this, now let's go and live this. Let's have this future version of you becoming the avatar for what you're working towards. So how do I need to change today to be this person, to be this person, to be this person, to be there in 3 years' time? So goal setting is huge. Oh, there's a puppy. Hi, puppy. Goal setting is huge, breaking down each and every individual goal. And then as athletes do, they've got what we call their target. Their target is the achievement beyond the goals. Think of it like a hurdles race. How many goals have you got? Let's look at 10 goals. So what's the end result? Is you crossing the finish line. Okay, how do you do that? Well, the first one to the finish line. How do you do that? Well, you've got to get over the hurdles. See, most athletes, they're the ones that are running ahead of themselves, putting a hurdle in place to slow them down, to stop them. That's what they're doing, is the mental hurdles. But we can get athletes so fast. If you look at the men's race, they do 110-meter hurdles. So they're jumping over 8 to 10 hurdles. I don't know how many specifically there are, but they're jumping over the hurdles, and they can do 110-meter hurdles faster than most people can run 100-meter flat. Why? Because they are trained to get over these things, because they're focused on the finish line, not the next hurdle. So the goal setting process I use is very much, right, let's look at where we're going to be. So I know where Justine's going to be. I know where Ali's going to be. I know where I'm going to be in 2028 in August. Okay. We're all going to be in Los Angeles at the Olympics. We're doing a central hub, the 55 practitioners worldwide. We're going to be supporting maybe 8 to 10 to 20 athletes each. There's 500 to 1,000 athletes that are going to be in the central hub being supported by us, the best in the world. Pretty cool, hey? Yeah. So does that help you, Tegan, as far as future pacing? Because that's where we're going, not where we've been. So that's what I want to connect to.
Yeah, well, you know, you're putting them in the quantum field as well, right?
Mm.
I'll tell you something funny though, Tegan and everybody, just make sure if you do, like Stuart's got his own medals. I had a couple of medals too. And one of my athletes wanted to keep my medal because I'd played her the national anthem and she was imagining herself on the podium. So I'd suggest you all go to the $2 shop and buy some little gold medallions so that you can give them to your athletes.
There's a good business card. Engrave the back of it with your name and number and give it to them.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful. Because you're actually working towards something as well. So you're not actually working away from something. They actually got a bit of momentum moving towards it. So hopefully, Tegan, that helps you. But we do a lot of, well, I do a lot of goal setting with my athlete. Like even every 3 months or 1 month where we do a setup. Right. What is, I mean, if you went all the way through that toilet theory when I did the conference, everyone go to that conference and you go through, were you there when I went through the toilet theory where you got the happiness into health, into love, into wealth? But wealth for athletes is all about the success within their sport, which is going to give them potentially financial rewards and benefits. So basically, even for peak performers in business, you want greater wealth. Where does it come from? Bang, it comes from happiness. It's got to overflow into health. It overflows into love, which is then going to overflow into abundance and wealth. So for me, it's very simple to go, right, okay, what's your happiness level in the last, week, 2 weeks, month? Oh, if it's at 5, okay, well, we know it's not going to start overflowing. So we've got to start working on you being happy in the current environment so it then overflows, and overflows. When I'm working with athletes, this is not about going, right, I want this athlete to achieve a gold medal. What I'm aiming at is I want this athlete to become this person who achieves a gold medal. So I'm not actually building the athlete, I'm building the person that doesn't put their whole life focus on a gold medal. Because what happens if that gold medal suddenly becomes silver? What happens if that gold medal never actually appears because you get injured? And that's what happened with me. I did my ACL, medial meniscus, 6 months out of the Olympics, out of the training squad, on crutches, went down to the Olympics. And one of the guys, it was a Queensland champion. He was the New South Wales champion. I was a Queensland champion in a different weight division. He was fighting and sparring. He ended up with a bronze medal. And I'm sitting there on the sidelines and my crutches going, yay. Okay, so I know what it takes to get to the top. It was all mental. I know what it takes when you crash. Again, it's all mental. But it's also, you can increase the longevity of a client because I will not take a client on until they confirm that they will remain with me as a client after their sport. Because most athletes, you've seen them all, the higher they get, the bigger the crash. I put myself in there and saying I've got a duty of care. So when they're at the top, I need to manage them down or transition them into a new gold medal life, whatever that might be.
Have a quick read of that question, Stuart, because you're kind of answering it anyway, but have a quick flick through it.
Wait, can I find it?
In the chat.
I know, chat wasn't coming out.
What you're saying.
Oh, thanks, Annie. When an individual athlete's trying to succeed in the coaching system. Yeah, okay. Yeah, death by suicide. I did see that one, yeah. I've got a very long experience with working with the head of sporting things around Australia. Okay. Annie, when you go to a sporting community, have New Zealand got like an institute of sport, is it? Is that what you're talking about? Or coaches in general? Okay, what you'll find is coaches don't fundamentally know mindset. Sports psychologists are very backwards focused. If you find a very good sports psychologist, they're going to be out in private practice doing it for themselves. So you can imagine the quality of a sports psychologist at a local sporting club. When you get to Queensland Academy of Sport, New South Wales Institute, whether you've got, do you have smaller regional areas for academies of sport and things like that over in New Zealand? Or is it just one central hub?
We've got High Performance Sport New Zealand, and then they've got kind of offshoots. Cycling New Zealand reports into them, and that sort of stuff. There's all sort of separate but the same.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
everybody's running a mile with this one, I can tell you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Do we have enough time, Justine, for me to go through that experience with the Australian Institute of Sport?
Yep.
Okay. This will give you a good understanding. Like I said, the typical people, if they were really good at doing sports psychology, they'd be out in private enterprise doing it for themselves. They'd be in their own business, not earning $40,000 to $50,000 a year as an employee. Think about that mentality in the first place. So here's these athletes hanging everything on them to achieve their incredible gold medal, where these people are employees. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's very limiting to get good quality people in those environments. I had one girl I was working with as a rower, you know, the dual sculls, or the two rowing in the pairs. So obviously there's two. So I worked with one girl, and then next thing, her mother said, I've been talking to such and such. Can you help her? Yes, no problem. So working with, let's just call her number two. Working with her, she said, I've been selected for the World Junior Quad Sculls, which means 4 girls. Okay, the first one is too short, but she's a real grinder when it comes to it. But they needed someone who was all basically same height, same size. So I ended up working with one girl. Then she went to a regatta. And then another lady phoned me up and said, oh, I've got a daughter who's a rower. She's been selected to go to the Quad Sculls World Juniors. I went, yeah, no problem at all. Then a third person phoned up and go, hey, I've been talking to someone, and they basically said that I think hypnosis might actually help. I've got a daughter who's been selected to go to the World Junior Quad Sculls over in, I think it was Germany somewhere. I went, oh, okay. This is where confidentiality comes in, because I work with number one and I've already got the names of the other 3. Number 2 comes in and goes, well, she's just given me the name. So therefore I know it's that person. So now I can start working with number 1 and number 2 in the boat. And without telling them I'm already working with them, I just go, right, you can now time yourself based on this person. And then the third person came in. So I had my client, not my client, my client in the Quad Sculls. They became world champions. And it wasn't till, might have been 2 months after, I got a phone call from one of them saying, look, we just put your name forward. We're down at the Australian Institute of Sport, and we've just had a session with a sports psychologist, and basically said, look, whatever you girls were doing, it was great. That whoever you're working with as far as psychology, because it's worked, what were you doing? And they're all very reluctant. And one of the girls goes, oh, I'm working with a person up in Brisbane. Someone else said, oh, okay. And they went, oh, yeah, he's not actually a psychologist. He more works with the hypnosis side of things. And one of the other girls goes, huh. So eventually they realized that 3 of them out of the 4 worked with me. The other person hadn't done anything. So then I got a phone call from the Australian Institute of Sport, head of peak performance, and said, we'd love to come down so we can have a chat with you. Sounds cool, hey? So it flew me down to Canberra, walked into this room. If you've ever been for one of those, you know, those really in-your-face interviews where you walk into a room, doors open, big board of people, 8 chairs sitting there and 1 chair in the front. That was me. And then for 45 minutes, they proceeded to abuse me. How dare you do that? You can't do that. Who do you think you are? Our athletes would never see anything. You don't belong here. What? Blah, 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 blah. And 45 minutes of that from 7 people of the 8. And I just sat there and sat there and sat there and went, okay, we've got a free trip to Canberra. That was nice. Been to the Institute of Sport. That's lovely. I might buy some souvenirs on the way out. And they said, you got anything to say? I went, sure. Thank you. Number 1, how dare you? Number 2, you invited me down. Number 3, what do you mean by I can't work with anyone and your athletes would never come to see me? What you've just got is the result of I work with 3 out of the 4 who've recommended, because your sports psychology people is, like you were saying, Tegan, it's breaking them. It's push, 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 push. They're not able to cope. Bang, crash, we'll get someone in who can. That's what's going on. And throughout the whole conversation, they've got their names on the bench. That was a really good one. Right, you, Steve, your strength and conditioning coach. Right. They might be strong, but they're not conditioned. They're not able to race. What controls the body? The mind does. What I did was get the mind working, therefore the training you did was better. So then I was basically going, and they actually said, what we'd like you to do is go and do your sports psychology degree. When you've done that, then you can come back and we'll have a conversation. Okay. Justine, Ali, you know me. My response was, why would I train 7 years to get worse results? Okay. This is the best that Australia's got, and I absolutely hammered them. Bang, bang, dietary, nutrition, head of performance, head of psych, and then number 8 was just sitting there, and I went, mate, what have you contributed to this? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, head of Australian Institute of Sport. And I said, well, you probably need to look at yourself. And he said, we only recognise bits of paper, qualifications. We want a bit of paper. So I've gone, oh, okay. Got my notebook out. Oh, hang on. Okay. And if you want a bit of paper, great. Guess what? Bang, there's my bit of paper. Slapped it on the desk and walked out. That's how Australian Institute of Sport deal with people who are not sports psychologists. Okay? And every other local state, whether it's Queensland, New South Wales, Western Australian, South Australian Institute of Sport, ACT Institute, Victorian Institute of Sport, they've all been exactly the same conversations. So unfortunately, this is a battle that you're probably going to have to play by yourself if that's the market you want to go into.
Yeah, I have a little bit of experience with that. I came across Raylene Castle, who's the lady who runs High Performance Sport New Zealand. I happened to be at a hotel where she was at a conference, and I gave her my card, and she said, oh no, go and give it to whatever this other lady's name was. She's the head of sports performance. So I gave her my card, and she said, oh yeah, I'll give you a call. Never heard back from her. Tried to follow up. No, she's not available. And I've never heard back. So then they're not interested. You're right, unless we've got.
Because it's not evidence-based, it's not scientifically proven, it's not their normal, and they train 7 years to get crap results, and here's someone coming in who's getting good results within days, weeks, and months.
But to be honest, like, the big money isn't, like, say you put that to the side, like, you'd do all that training and you'd go on and you'd work for them for 50,000. You know what I mean? Like, what? There's no benefit to doing it anyway. Whereas when you work for yourself, people actually, and you go on and you support them themselves, they appreciate it, right?
But when they're telling you under no circumstance would any of our people come to see anyone like you, I went, oh, define that. They got anything, when they were saying it, you got anything to say? And I went, what can I say? I said, obviously, this is just an absolute attack. I said, the good thing is I probably should have asked you initially that, would it be okay if I record this? I should have asked that because I have been recording this. As soon as I walked in, I went, oh, hang on a sec, walked out, I knew what was going to be on. Okay? It's on my phone. Would anyone like to apologise before I pass this over to my lawyer? So, yeah, they're the people. Let's face it, you probably find that those athletes, they're going to be caught up in that system anyway. It's unfortunately, Annie, they're going to get caught up in that system where what they'll find is the athletes are going to be pushed, the parents are going to freak out, the parents are going to look externally, and they're going to find someone. That young diver, the Olympic diver, she got the Olympic silver medal, and basically her mother said, look, we would love to share your knowledge, your experience, would love to tell you what we did, but it's in the Australian Olympic contract as an athlete that you cannot use anything other than an AIS approved practitioner. So they're going out of their own way to invest in us to be able to help them because the system is broken. Okay? So she didn't want that because we actually had the back page of, let's just call it your New Zealand magazine or your New Zealand newspaper in the sports section. The whole back page was already held for this story. And they said, look, we can't afford to do this because they can take her medal. That's what we're dealing with. So you probably find that's really not your market. But if you get one of the top players in golf, or you get a tennis player, you get motor racing, you get some of the All Blacks. I mean, look at the contracts that they're on.
Soccer, all sorts, just, yeah. But Annie, I think it's like any kind of hypnosis. We appeal to various different people and help them differently than talk therapy. So I think the same goes for athletes. So could Olivia Podmore have a different outcome? Maybe, I don't know.
I would think yes, because it's a matter of managing emotions. What was the reason? You find expectations that were put on her. It would be her own expectations because she would be feeling bad and guilty because she didn't step up to everyone else's belief and the pressure and everything else. But unfortunately, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen so much of athletes are just going, I can't cope. And one of the processes, the first session I normally do is setting a peak performance state. The second one, because what happens is if we know that existing results equal potential minus fear, we start minimizing fear, which increases potential. What that also does within the athlete is because they're pushing themselves physically and emotionally higher, the unconscious protection program that's operating within the athlete or within any person is, oh, we need equal and opposite fears to try and hold them back. So the fears are always increasing before the performance does. So it's a matter of being able to manage the fears, the expectations, the belief of going to the next level and managing that in advance. I've got a ice skater tomorrow. Okay, she's now starting to do triple jumps and landing triples. And she's freaking out. I went, yeah, it would be exactly as when she was doing doubles and freaking out and doing the singles and then having to do doubles. Just when she's mastered this, she's now got to do triples. Just when she masters this, they're going to start doing quads. It's the same with diving. They're diving off the platform. Okay? Just when you've got over the fear of mastering a single somersault, guess what? You're now got to do two. Then you do three. Oh, now we're going to chuck in a twist. Oh, two twists, 2.5 twists. And now we'll get you starting on your hands as a handstand. So the level of fear is always going to be rising before the actual performance cuts in as well. So it's a matter of how do we manage that? How do we bring it back to the basics? How do we get them to trust the training that they've done? And this is where most athletes fail, is the fact that they train so relaxed. But then when they go to a competition, they put the pressure on. As soon as you put pressure on, what happens to the body when you put pressure and stress on? It tightens up. When it tightens up, you don't have the movement, you don't have the speed, you don't have the flexibility, so you've got a greater chance of injury. And because you're all tight, you don't have the, I guess, the longevity of your muscles as well. You don't have the speed, you don't have the power, you're going to burn out quicker. The lactic acid's going to build up quicker. You're not going to be able to recover as fast. If you look at golfers as an example, where most people hold pressure and stress, neck, arms, shoulders, back and core. What do you need to hit a golf ball? Neck, arms, back, chest, core. Okay, so if that tightens up, you're not going to get the full range of flexibility. Therefore, the ball is not going to go where you practice. Again, we come back to that swimmer, 2.5 or 2,850 hours, and he's gone slower. How is that possible? Any other questions? Oh, looks like another one. Hang on a second.
One thing that you said at the beginning that really got me with high performance people was that they train 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. For maybe a 1-minute race, that's every 4 years. I mean, that high performance person brain is quite different to the average everyday brain, right? Because when you think about that, how many hours they put in every day for something that only lasts such a short amount of time every however many years, pretty different brain. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. And the athletes I've got, they're not leaving success to chance. If that's the only thing that fails them, that's what they're working on. They can't afford to. They've trained so hard, they've invested, they've sacrificed for years and years. How do they know? Because you look at swimmers, they only reach the top speed probably 2 or 3 times a year. If they're training every day, there's a huge amount of trust they've got in the coach to get them to that event, that's where they're going to peak at that moment. Okay? So when you think about that, it's a huge responsibility on the practitioner. That's why you've got to be very ruthless, setting and focused on the end result for the athlete. And they will conform. They will step up. They will do exactly what they need to. They will even slow down. Okay? They will learn how to actually slow down so they don't burn themselves out. They will go to a coach and go, hey, coach, I'm taking the next 3 days off because I'm exhausted. And the coach is going, no worries at all, because they know what they're up to, rather than trying to push them towards breaking point. And if you've got an athlete that's holding back to 80% because they don't want to hurt themselves or break, they're holding on to this energy, guess what? If you're only training at 8%, you can't expect to perform at 100. No athlete ever rises to the occasion. They drop to their level of training. If you're training at 80%, you're never going to get 100% out of yourself. Short, sharp burst, train at 100% and then get out. Okay. Stephanie, you're going to ask?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hi.
I'm interested to find out what sort of support, let's say that you start working with an athlete with the number 2 to get them to number 1.
Yeah.
What sort of support time-wise do you give them? Like, do they have weekly sessions? Is this going for months? Like, what's a typical sort of case of service that you offer them?
I recommend exactly what they need to get to that end result. I know that's a very vague number. Traditionally, my initial program is 4 sessions, each about a week apart. That's the competitive edge program. 4 sessions a week apart. At the end of that, then we'll review it. Okay? I might do 3 sessions, push them out for a month, let them go to a competition or a training session, then bring them back in and fine tune. But generally 4 sessions. After that, then I give them a perception of choice. Do you want bronze, silver, or gold program? Okay, bronze, silver, or gold. That's basically 1, 2, or 4. Yeah, 1, 2, or 4 sessions a month, if they want to. So based on that, but it's also based on recommendations. Based on recommendations would be, hey, look, you're doing really well. You probably don't need another session for another 1 month or 3 months. Let's book something in 3 months' time. But most of my athletes, I would say, they will know. Like one I had earlier this morning, she's an ice skater in Adelaide, and she said, I've got a competition coming up in Melbourne next month. I need to do a session before that. And I said, look, you probably need one now, because she's starting to hit a bit of a, I won't say a brick wall, but a bit of a belief system, because she's going from a 2 to a 3 jump, a double axel to a triple axel. She's landing them okay, but she's not confident with it. So she knows, based on the results we've already got, that yes, I need to go and talk to Stuart. So we'll get that one fixed. Then we'll do something event maybe in another 2.5, 3 weeks, just before her interstate competition. Then I may not talk to her for another 6 months. So
Right.
if that helps you, it's basically I guide them through, go, look, you'll know when you need me. But it's also in knowing Hey, Kerry, how you doing? It's also in knowing that I give them resources, tools. I teach them how to do their own recordings. I teach them through a process I got, which is the Dear Diary process. I teach them how to do that. They've got their target process, which is what the end result is like. So I teach and guide and mentor them all the way through. I give them resources and tools. Like I said initially, the more I give them, the more they keep coming back. And I think as a traditional practitioner, when I first started, it was very similar, which is you want to get them in, get them out and go, right, what next? You're fixed. But these athletes, they know they're not fixed because they're constantly pushing and striving.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. And would you say that the majority of them you do Zoom sessions with them, or do you do it in person?
Again, if they're close to me, I'll do it face to face. Otherwise, most of the work I do is online. Still very
Really?
powerful, but it's also, I do offer a phone support program for athletes. Okay,
Right.
so in those moments where they might be 15 minutes out from going or from starting a game, they might just go, hey, Stu, have you got a moment? Okay, so I allocate a certain amount of time, a certain amount of per month, certain fee that they sign up for a phone support program. So it could be on a weekend where they're just going to go, hey, look, I'm in between this race and this race. Can you give me a hand? Yep, no problems. Go back to your transporter, go back to your truck, take your helmet with you. We'll just go and do a quick reset. Okay? Sometimes they just might need a bit of a conversation and go, hey, look, this is what's going on. Am I right? I've done this with my diary process. This needs to happen. That needs to happen. I go, yep, no problem at all. Let's have a chat. So I allocate 1 hour per month to each of them.
Right. And are they mainly overseas, or would you say that you got 50% in Australia and the other 50% might
50% of
be
my
outside?
clients, I'll probably say 25% of my clients I've never actually met.
Right.
Okay? I'll do face-to-face on Zoom. I've got athletes that'll fly in from interstate. I've got athletes that'll fly internationally. I've got a soccer superstar over in the Spanish league in football. And he paid me to go over to Toulouse, business class flights, accommodation, and paid me for 10 days to work specifically with him. So that's the benefit that the athletes know they can get. So again, yes, there's a base program, but everything is flexible to suit the athlete.
Right. And if I can just squeeze one more question in there, please.
Was that it?
Yeah. Don't want to be rude, don't want to take up too much of your time and give others the opportunity to ask you. But I have got access to a New Zealand sports team.
Yeah.
Because I'm working with other health practitioners who I know that they, weekly work with them. What's the best approach for me to actually say, hey, these are my services. Can I pick one of your teammates and sort of, practice on them, or how would you
Don't say
approach
practice.
it?
Don't say
Pardon?
practice. Don't say the word practice.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, not
Don't practice on anyone. Okay. These are my skill set. This is what I can do. Would you be interested in having one of your athletes go through the process so you can experience it for yourself? Okay.
Okay.
Very simple. Or go and have a coffee with the coach. Go and have a coffee with a person you know, and just go, look,
Yeah.
this is what we do. If you're interested, give it a crack. I can't tell you what or how to do it. There's so many variations of approaching someone. Some people have got a very dramatic bang, let's go do this. I'm a lot more, right, who's the connections I've got? How do we get in there? Let's build a relationship first. Then the relationship, it's going to be built on trust. Then you can start talking about it.
Okay.
Depends on who you are and how connected you are to it, what your opportunity is. But I can guarantee when I first started, 50% of my work was marketing. I put it down to marketing. Let's go and have a coffee. Let's go and have a chat with other people and go, right, this is what I do. This is how I do it. Come and have an experience. And then when you get the results, you might be able to then refer people on. Okay. Sorry to sound a bit vague there because I don't know this.
No, guess me. Yeah. I mean, already, like you said, don't say that you want to practice on someone. That might not be the best. Yeah, who wants to be my guinea pig?
Yeah.
Might not be the best approach.
Yeah, because you got to go in there and you got to be confident. And if it's a New Zealand-based sporting team, they're probably already going to have someone Okay? So you're going to have to do your work and do the research. I'm not sure who it is or how involved they are, what level of professionalism, and how many gatekeepers you're going to have.
Yeah.
Okay,
True.
because it's also, you get in there, as soon as you start doing that, you're probably discrediting a lot of the sports coaches that they've got and the nutritionists and strength and conditioning coaches, because it's easy to offend them by going, hey, look at me, did one session, look at the results I've got.
Mm.
Okay, it'll backfire on you. You'll never see them
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I hear
You
what
can
you're
get in
saying.
there and have brilliant results, and they will kick you out because you're risking their part of the business as well. So it is a very delicate balance.
Okay, thank you.
That's all right. Hope that helps.
Done.
So there's a question from Lily.
Oh, Lily, where's Lily gone? Hello, Lily. What's the telling sign or test you run to ascertain someone's invest in the goal? Before I start every program, Lily, I have a conversation with the person. You will tell at that level, because we're all into hypnosis, because we're all in probably quite spiritual and energetic, and we can feel things. As soon as you start talking to someone, you'll know, bang, they're going to commit or they're just a tire kicker.
Yeah.
What
So
I'd
it's
also
just-
suggest is, if you've got that question or doubt, give them something to do for 7 days. If you do this for 7 days, send me the response. Start thinking about this, doing this, writing this, get some goals set, start thinking about your race program. What's your build up to an event? How would you spend time doing some mindset? Have you done any visualizations? Probably do like a bit of a workbook or a worksheet, or go to a video and just do a quick video and explain a couple of things that you're going to go through, explain the program. I can guarantee the ones that don't do the work, they're not going to commit to the work that you do. They're not going to pay you. You're not going to get the results. If you don't get the results in the first session, they won't come back. If you do get the results in the first session, they won't come back. A lot of them are after a quick fix. So you'll know the ones, okay, and do not compromise on price or program. As soon as you do, they're the ones that are going to create the dramas for you. That's your price, that's the program, follow it, or you're gone. And if they don't turn up on time, cut, gone. Oh, who's that? Tegan had to go. Bye, Tegan. Does that help you, Lily?
Yeah, really good. Thanks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you've got to take this really strong stance and go, this is who I am. That's where you want to go. I can help you get to that point. Now you have to help yourself. There's got to be a certain level of ownership. If they're not going to take ownership, hey, you haven't done your homework. That's not good enough. Why is this happening? How about you go and do it, and then we can reassess next week. Then all of a sudden it's like, hang on, I've got a part of this as well. They've got to actually have a skin in the game. Now, if you give them something to do and they don't do it, you've got your answer there. So if that helps you, you'll know if they're invested. Also, think about it as well, because I do a lot of juniors. I find that anyone under the age of 18, I will not book them in until, one, there's a parent with them, or two, they come in with that, or I have a joint Zoom call with parent and child, because half the time the child's sitting there like this. You know the child's not invested. Okay, simple. Okay? You either take them on and go, right, yeah, if we're going to do it, this is how it's going to be, and you set the standard and you support it. Okay, do not deviate from it. If they start going off, find another practitioner around your area that you don't really like and refer them on. Oh, look at that. Hey, better off they go and fail with someone else or take up someone else's time, correct? You just worked that out. It took a while to drop in, didn't it, Lily? But yeah, I do that all the time. When you get those phone calls going, how much for a session? Fully booked at the moment. You can't see me for 2.5 weeks. I'd recommend going to see this person. Phone the number 0732091209. Just go and give them a call and you'll be able to get in straight away, and they're cheap. One, why can you get in straight away? Two, why are they cheap? And three, why am I referring them on? Because I know they're going to be a problem. Okay, and it's going to take up their time, their energy. That, so I didn't say that, but yeah, find someone that you know you can refer them on to, because they're going to be time wasters. That I can guarantee. Okay, we just go to Ali. Ali, how many people have you taken on board to go, I'm going to help these people, and they don't do it for themselves? They want you to do it for them. As soon as you ask them to do something, they're gone.
Yeah. And you know, I had a young fellow I was doing a bit of work with, and he found a girl, and his dad said, oh, he's just being an average teenager. And I said, yeah, that's exactly why I'm not working with him anymore.
Yeah. It really is simple. You got to stand up to your values, your morals, your ethics, because if you get someone that's not going to do the job, it's going to reflect on you as a poor result. Therefore, guess what? Okay, your respect goes down because you compromise too much. Okay, because you're then seen as desperate to get the business, to get the money, to build the business. I've probably pushed more people away this year than I've taken. Okay, so it is extremely powerful to hold that level of professionalism and that power within the state and go, bang, this is how it is. You can do it this, tip, tip, tip. And what I find is the higher the price, the more of the buy-in. A better quality client, better investment, higher investment, better results. Right. Any questions? Hi, Kerry, you kind of snuck in, or were you behind the scenes and I didn't see you?
No, apologies. I forgot all about tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
no. You were awesome.
But yeah, really just on that last point, I was almost wondering whether we should put as much effort into working out whether the client suits us as whether we can help them.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
we should be, you know, interviewing them to see if we actually want to work with them, if they're sufficiently motivated and resourced, and you know.
Yeah, well, I do that for all the people that are coming on board as athletes, secret weapon approved practitioners.
Right.
It's fairly ruthless. I'll have a conversation and go, where are you at? What are you up to? What's the passion? What's your training? What's your education? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm actually going, right, are they the right person I want to give all my resources and process and tools to, knowing that I'm building this collaboration of 55 worldwide. I don't want to have 100 because the quality of the practitioners is going to drop. I want everyone to be at this level. So I want people to be able to step up, because that's going to only enhance my respect, my demand, the capabilities, and everyone who's coming on board as a practitioner. Guess what? You can be assured that, yeah, it's going to be good quality people.
Yeah.
Cool. Justine, you're having a bit of a laugh and a smile. What are you up to?
I was going to say, on that note, you can share how people can contact you. The reason why I laughed is because I just got sent a photo and it popped up on my phone with my daughter outside with a filter on, saying I haven't seen you for a long time, and it was anyway, that's why I smiled for a second. But yeah, Stuart, can you share how people can contact you?
Just email me through go to the athletesecretweapon.com website, or I'm sure based on show notes or something like that, you can all email me. If you want direct email, Stuart at athletes, so athletesecretweapon.com, and there'll be 2 S's in there. It looks a bit weird. Or you'll find me on social media. Just go and track me down on Justine's crap book.
And like Stuart was just talking about now, how he interviews clients, that's exactly what he does with students. We were talking about it the other day, where anyone that goes on with Stuart, he's very, very, very on who he takes on, and I said it was a really cool thing, like I said the other day, because a lot of teachers will just take on anybody, you know, because it's getting in business and stuff. But I've never seen someone that's very because probably about 4 or 5 people away in the last few months been sent on to have a bit more education, and they're good therapists anyway, but just getting to a standard where Stuart can guarantee that what goes out with that brand is high quality.
I like to say, you go and do your training and then I'll teach you how to play. It's like we're talking with athletes, is when they start, the first thing they're learning is all about techniques and tactic and getting the speed, getting the physical aspects of their sport mastered. And it's not until they get up here, that's when the brain starts cutting in, and that's when you start working with them. It's exactly the same with hypnosis and practitioners and NLP. You start doing your training, you understand the concepts, you understand the theories, right, go out and start practicing. Right, now when you're ready to play, that's when you come and see me. Because it is fun. It is ruthless, it is direct, and a whole lot of fun. Because it takes you around the world. Look, all you got to do, and this is something, who asked about price? It was Stephanie, wasn't it? Okay, you get a professional golfer. Okay, if you work with a professional golfer and they go, hey, look, because it's a huge investment in the sport, same with motor racing, same with equestrian. There's a lot of sports that have got a huge investment. And they're probably going, well, I can't afford to see you every week, but I need it. Okay, right. Okay, so here's something that we were saying before is, how do you get buy-in? So this is like yours, Elise. How can you get them invested into it? Well, quite simple. If they're doing the program, doing everything else, and they go, look, love to keep working with you, but if you know their potential, you know their capabilities, if they're willing to do whatever it takes, and if you've got the skill set to be able to get them to that point, take them on as a percentage client, as a contract. Okay, because all you need is one professional golfer who's in the top 100 in the world, and they would be on 2 million plus a year. If you know that they are going, look, I need you to help me get to this point. Sure, but we can't afford you, but you can there. Would you be willing to pay a percentage of your winning and appearance fees? If they say yes, great, no problem, lock them in at a percentage contract. If you get a professional golfer that suddenly goes from 2,000 in the world into the top 100, they can be on, some tournaments these days, if you look at the PGA, the Japanese tour, Chinese tour, you probably find they're going to be $3 to $4 million per tournament. Okay, if you look at 10% of that, you look at 5% of that, you look at 1% of that, you only need a few clients. I've had the opportunity to have a traveling, touring professional tennis player. They wanted me to travel and tour with them. Okay? What they were going to pay contract-wise was incredible, plus flights and accommodation and everything else on top of. But it also took me away from my business, took me away from my wife and my son. But it was over $500,000 a year just to keep them in that same headspace. So if that's the sort of work that you want to do, the money's out there. But if you say to someone, how much for a session? Oh, it's $500,000 a year. You're not going to get many people. But it's in the proof and the result at the end of it that goes, yeah, okay, that's a good investment, because if you're getting $500,000 a year and it's 5%, guess what? They've just earned, what's that, 20 million or 10 million. Okay, they earn 10 million, they get 9.5 million, and they know they wouldn't have done that without you. So they would be happy to pay $500,000. Puts it in a different perspective, doesn't it? Yep. And it is. Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at that one. It's an ongoing investment and they get the result they want. Yeah, absolutely. But you've also got to work out that you might work with an athlete for 12 months, 18 months, and then they go boom and crash. It's a huge investment in someone else and their trust and your time. Put it down to marketing, it can always turn around.
They work in that world, it is working in percentages. I think you said like they pay a percentage of their fee to this person and this person and this person.
Yeah.
So per winnings, that's kind of the way they talk money, don't they?
Yeah. And I think, look, even if you look at Formula One, I think Ali, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Oscar Piastri, his manager is Mark Webber, the former Formula One driver. And I believe he's on a 10% contract. When you think about that, Mark Webber, he would be absolutely celebrating at the moment. That's why I see him at every race meet, because he's there with Oscar Piastri, because he went from when he was second or third in the series last year in McLaren on a 1.2 million contract. He's now on $20 million this year. Okay. If I got a $20 million contract, yeah, I'm happy to pay someone 10 million. Oh, sorry, pay someone 2 million as 10% of it. Because I just got $18 million, where last year was what, 1.2. No problem at all. It's the same if you want to specialize in business. The elite performers in business are exactly the same as athletes. So if you want to work in business and almost be like a business coach, business mindset coach, it's just as good. It's just as big. I've got an athlete, a former athlete who is now in business, and he's probably going to be turning over $230 million in the next 12 months. And I'm on a percentage. Sounds like a real estate agent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they then determine what they pay you. They determine their worth based on the results. So yeah, but don't go into it because of the money, because it won't be there. If you go into it for the passion and working with athletes, like I sit there for 16 days, the Olympics, and I got tears running down my face going, oh, that's one of mine, that's one of mine, that's one of mine. Okay, that's the benefit. I was going to show you. I did have a lovely poster, framed, signed photo from one of my clients. She sent me, I've just got, oh, that just makes it so worth it. And she was the one that reached out Monday and said, so I'm writing a book. You're in it. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, any other questions? I realise I've been talking.
Hey Stuart, did you see what Stephanie's written? She's written a mind estate agent, not a real estate.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Mind
estate agent. Yeah, exactly. So real estate agent for the mind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You look at that even in business. If someone, and I shared an office with a business coach, it's basically the same thing. You go, okay, well, if you're turning over $1 million, guess what? I'll charge you 10% of everything you gain above the million. So if you go to 2 million, guess what? You're getting 10% of the million. Okay? So it's not costing the business anything to invest in you. You're just taking a percentage of their growth, and you know, and they know that you're responsible for that growth because of the mindset. So it's got you thinking.
Oh,
Cool. Any other questions?
all righties. Well, we will finish there, Stuart, but thank you
Okay.
so much. Oh,
No,
for
no
coming
problem.
today.
Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out and have a conversation or virtual cup or anything, please feel free to do that. Otherwise, yeah, my details, I'm sure Justine can either share them or it'll be on the bottom of this or something weird.
Yeah. That'll be all put everywhere, yeah.
But yeah, I'm over here in Brisbane, Australia, and yeah, happy to have a chat.
Awesome. And if anyone did want to have a chat in person with Stuart, we are planning on getting him to New Zealand, eh?
Yeah, hopefully in the next school holidays, about the next 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, and that'll be a time where people can have a meet and greet too if they're in the area. Cool.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Leanne. I'm just looking at all the messages now.
Stuart.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time. I know it was late.
Thank you.
See ya. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Stuart. Bye.
No worries. See ya. Bye. Bye.